Hey guys, my name is Stella, and I have an unusual fear. The thing is that I am afraid of my own reflection. Living with such a phobia is really horrible. When I was 4 years old, my friends and I were playing in the sandbox, and suddenly an angry, strange dog came close to us. The adults rushed to us too late, and the dog managed to bite me really hard. Fortunately, the dog was not infected with rabies, but there appeared another problem which was not less terrible. During the attack, the dog scratched my face and my body so much that I even had to be operated on. When I looked at myself in the mirror after surgery, I started screaming with fear and crying because I could not recognize myself. My parents were horrified as well, looking at my scar that took up half my face. The doctor said, unfortunately, the scar would remain with me forever and that nothing could be done to fix this. He also added that I got off easy because the medical team barely managed to save me. After that, my life changed. Friends stopped playing with me and did not even come near me. The acquaintances of all my family looked at me with sympathy and sometimes even expressed their dislike. From early childhood, I understood that I was different from other people. Things were getting worse and worse with age. When I went to elementary school, my classmates either ignored me or gave me unpleasant nicknames. They could also hit me or knock the food tray all over my clothes, but most of all, it hurt when they called me a freak. And when I showed up, they pretended that they were scared of me. And despite the fact that I got used to the stupid antics of my classmates, I could not accept the reaction of unfamiliar kids. They were really scared of me and tried to stand back immediately. This had such a huge impact on me that I became afraid of my own reflection. I felt like a monster. Once, when I accidentally looked in the mirror in my room, I couldn't hold it any longer, so I threw a heavy statuette as to break it. I was gripped by such panic that I could not calm down until my mother came into the room. She looked at the shards and asked what was going on. I replied that I could no longer see myself in the mirror because my appearance scared me. My parents immediately took me to the psychologist, and he explained that I had a mental trauma that required a comprehensive and long-lasting therapy. Due to the constant bullying, I began to perceive myself differently, seeing only the worst aspects of my own appearance. He advised my parents to have me shift to homeschooling if possible because my classmates could only make my phobia worse. And that's what my parents did. So I've studied at home for several years, but it didn't make me any happier because therapy didn't really work and I was still afraid to look at myself in the mirror. Instead, I started wearing a mask that hid my face completely. In most cases, I put it on when going out, but I could sometimes wear it at home when I felt especially horrible because of the thoughts about my appearance. Over time, my parents despaired together with me, not believing that my life would be like it had been before. But then we did not yet know what changes awaited our family. One day after returning home from work, my father announced that he had been promoted and transferred to a new office in another city to work from there. I can't say that I was glad, but there was no choice. We quickly packed all of our belongings and moved to Brentwood. After the move, my mother immediately went to school to agree upon my distance learning. But all schools refused us because I was already in my senior year and my presence at school was required to better prepare for the exams. I had to come to terms with the idea that I would attend school again and endure the ridicule of my classmates. On my first day at school, I was really anxious thinking that everyone would immediately start calling me names. But instead, after seeing me, my classmates tried to avoid me and didn't come up to me. No one even agreed to sit at the same desk with me. I became a loner, and in general, I was okay with that. But one day, everything changed. For the birthday of our class teacher, Mrs. Simmons, the classmates decided to prepare a dance performance. The music teacher supported the initiative of the class and decided to help with the dance. I was not eager to perform on stage, but at the same time, I didn't want to offend Mrs. Simmons. However, I did not know that the rehearsals would be held in a special classroom with large mirrors. When I looked at myself, I felt sick. My throat got dry, my palms would sweat, my whole body was shaking. I was looking at myself and couldn't move. Then I even got hysterical. I shouted that I hated myself and my face, and I pushed all my classmates away. I ran out of the classroom in tears. A little later, Mrs. Simmons found me in the ladies' room, and after calling me down, somehow she sent me home. After such embarrassment, I no longer wanted to appear at school, but the next day I went back, and as soon as I entered the classroom, people came up to me to ask me how I felt. I was embarrassed because of such an amount of attention towards myself, but I was pleased because of the fact that they cared about me instead of laughing, so I gradually began to get closer to my classmates. Most of all, I was communicating with a girl named Dina, who even sat down with me at the same desk. As it turned out, we both loved beating and eating ice cream with cheese sauce. I was happy because for the first time in many years, I felt like a real human, not a monster. After lessons, my classmates and I often went to the movies, or hung out somewhere. However, this soon came to an end. One day, I overheard a conversation between two classmates who were complaining to each other about Mrs. Simmons. One of them said that she was tired of communicating with the ugly girl just because the teacher had asked them about it. The second one agreed and added that it was impossible to look at me without fear. After I heard these words, my vision blurred. I almost fainted because of the bitterness, and my feet were weak, and I went home deciding to skip class that day. I explained the situation to my mother, and she did not scold me for truancy. After that, I locked myself in my room and was crying all night, deciding that from then on, I would constantly wear a mask. I hardly made myself go to school the next morning. I'd love to miss all my classes again, but on that day, we had to congratulate Mrs. Simmons. My classmates were shocked to see me wearing a mask, but they didn't say anything, and I didn't care about their opinion. I just expected that day to end as soon as possible, as I did not want to dance at all. After lessons, the teachers and children from all the parallel classes came to the assembly hall to congratulate Mrs. Simmons. When it was my class's turn, a terrible thing happened. During the dance, one of my classmates tripped me and I fell down. The mask immediately flew off my face, after which loud laughing was heard in the hall. I covered my face with my hands and quickly ran away. After this incident, I sat in the room all weekend. All the time, I was thinking that my bullying had resumed, and I again became the main laughingstock at school. In addition, Dina annoyed me by constantly sending me some messages that I didn't even read. I had no doubt that she sent me some offensive words. But after several days of my silence, Dina came to my house because she was really worried about me. She believed that the girl did a horrible thing during the dance, and also said that for that trick, community service at school awaited her. This did not make me happy, as no one would stop bullying me because of this. However, Dina immediately cheered me up. She said that she would not leave me alone and that she was communicating with me not because of Mrs. Simmons' request, but because she considered me a great friend. Her words made me smile, even believe that my scar was not an obstacle to true friendship. Several months have passed since Dina protected me from bullies at school and tried to wean me off a mask. And this step really helped me to accept and love myself. Thanks to Dina and her assistance, I got hope that I could live like an ordinary person. Have you ever been bullied at school because of your appearance? Give your answers in the comments.